Now, so many of you all come to me as clients doing a fantastic job of following a, let's say, diet. Y'all cut out soda, you've eliminated sugar, you're no longer visiting the vending machines, you don't eat fried food, you're making sure you're eating baked chicken, but you went to the doctor and they tell you, hey, guess what? Your blood sugars are elevated. Oh, so what do we do? Or they maybe even say that dirty word, pre-diabetes. Now, I know it's frightening and I know that it's super scary, and I know that your aunt was probably diabetic and you had a relative down the road who said, well, she was a brittle diabetic. But I got some good news for you, because we can reverse pre-diabetes. Continue watching. Well, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelly and I am a keto dietitian. I had a struggle with weight gain after the birth of my second child. He is 8 now. And I really went through this 3-year cycle of just being a fatty. I'm gonna be honest, I was fat. I dive into the emotional and physical toll that it took on my life and my personal story. You have to watch this video because it absolutely shows my transition from what we've been taught in school, which is that terrible standard American diet, or as I prefer to call it, SAD. In other words, we are gonna reverse pre-diabetes. How? Well, the first step I want you to do is that handout that your wonderful doctor gave you. No, I love my docs. This is not to pick on docs. From the American Diabetes Guidelines, you are going to tear that to shreds and throw it in your garbage can, because it is garbage. I'm gonna do a video down the road on that. Really, gang, pre-diabetes, we want you to take it serious. This is where your blood sugars are gonna be higher than normal, yet they're not high enough to be diagnosed as being a diabetic. Now, being pre-diabetic does put us at some risk. You know, we can develop diabetes, we can get heart disease, we can have a stroke, and it's estimated, friends, that 34% of Americans have pre-diabetes. So exactly what happens? It's just that our body is not using insulin as effectively as it should. In other words, your body becomes resistant to insulin. You hear it all the time, and I talk about it in videos. Insulin resistance. And when our body resists insulin, our blood sugars rise, you know? So this is why we want to follow a good plan. And when we're insulin resistant, our body experiences inflammation, which can lead to weight gain. Enough of that stuff. I know you're like, Shelly, give me the news. How can I reverse this pre-diabetes? Well, here we go. It's said that lifestyle risk factors for pre-diabetes includes being overweight and physical inactivity, but let's really break it down. Let's break it down to the real. Just by losing a small amount of weight can help prevent pre-diabetes. So I want you to set a goal. And that goal is gonna be about 5 to 7% of your body weight. In fact, the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, they did get this right. There's some stuff I disagree with them. It says that really that is the magical number. 5 to 7% of our body weight can help to lower those blood sugar levels. That's huge, gang. And that's always the goal that I set for folks whenever that they walk into my office. So how are we gonna do that? Here we go. Number 1. I want you to eliminate all of the sugar in your diet. Notice I use the word all. Now, foods high in refined carbs and sugar are digested more quickly. They have a high glycemic index, and all that means, that's a fancy word that says that, hey, these foods can affect blood sugar. But here's the deal, gang. I know a lot of y'all have cut out sugar. Thank you for that. But I also want you to cut out honey and agave nectar. I know that honey is local and it's wonderful, but it's not good for you. Switch to an amazing sugar replacer such as stevia, such as Swerve. And then number 2, you're gonna kill all the regular sodas, the sweet tea. I'm from the South, people love their sweet tea. We have to remember that 12-ounce Coke has 9 teaspoons of sugar. And trust me when I say it is the same for sweet tea. I am just so amazed at folks who just leave soda alone and go to sweet tea. And I'm like, no, sweet tea can have up to 45 grams of carbs, which is 3 slices of bread. Okay, gang? These drinks are loaded with fructose, which is strongly linked to insulin resistance and diabetes. Instead, what are we gonna switch to? Our plain, basic water. I know it sounds boring, but more often than not, whenever I work with clients, it's just easier, you know, instead of doing the flavored water beverages and all the fancy schmancy stuff, gang, just switch on over to that water. And to add a little insult to injury, there was a study that showed that individuals consuming 25% of their calories from high fructose beverages led to increased insulin resistance and belly fat. Number 3, you're gonna increase your water. Now, I talk time and time again about the importance of water, and I have a couple of new studies to bring to the mix, which is super exciting and super cool for me. They found, now this was a self-reported study, so I know some folks don't like this, but I have a feeling folks really don't lie that much about water. You know, maybe some other things like, you know, eating candies and cookies, but water, a little different. Those who reported drinking less than half a liter a day were at more risk for elevated blood sugars than those who didn't. So my goal is for folks to stay hydrated. Switching to water, like we said, may not be the most fun, but it's easy. And I train you all to have 8 ounces of water when you wake up. Yes, leave it on your nightstand. Ain't nobody gonna see it, so don't be all worried about everything being clean. 12 to 18 ounces of water per meal. And I do it like this because it's just an easy way to get it out of the way. So drink your water now. The next one is, I want you to kill all the white rice, pasta, and bread. Why? There's no fiber. And this is where I get a huge fight. Folks are like, well, you can have a little bit and you can have 45 grams of carbs per meal. No, these are super high in the glycemic index. They don't have any fiber, so your blood sugars are going to increase. Oh my gosh. I mean, let me just kind of quote a few studies. And there was a study where they even did some gluten-free pastas were known to raise blood sugars. Another study found that high carb foods not only raised blood sugar, but decreased brain function in people with type 2 diabetes. That's not good. That's not good. Great. Number 4, no more cereal for breakfast. And this includes cornflakes and Raisin Bran. But Shelly, cornflakes doesn't have any sugar, but boo, its glycemic index is 93 and the scale goes to 100. So the higher it is, the more it affects your blood sugar levels. Cornflakes has 24 grams. The primary ingredient is milled corn, which has a super high glycemic rating. You know, just to kind of break it down, when the corn is milled, its outer layer is removed, and this really leaves behind a starchy product with super low nutrition value. I mean, what's worse? What's worse? And then the other thing is, it's because it has no fiber. You're gonna be hungry in like 1, 2, 3 minutes after eating it. Raisin Bran, y'all, Raisin Bran. I still have folks coming in my office eating Raisin Bran because the label has the American Heart Association label on it, which, what? I don't understand why. Oh yeah, I know why. Boom, throw that stuff away. 46 grams of carbs per 1 cup, and that is more than 3 slices of bread in your beloved Raisin Bran. Throw it out. So my next tip is, if you must have a cereal for breakfast, I get it, some of you all do, look for a high protein, no sugar, high fiber, keto-friendly cereal. Keto, you got it. This is a next good segue to my next tip, which is a high protein, fat-based breakfast. Now, studies have shown that eating a higher fat, moderate protein breakfast may actually help reduce fasting blood sugar levels, A1C, and weight. And I have to personally say, when I made this switch, because I was a cereal girl for breakfast, I ate it all the time. I even ate oatmeal for breakfast. And when I switched over to my favorite protein fat combination, which is either tuna and avocado. Tuna is a great source of protein, and when combined with our avocado is an amazing source of our omega-3. It helps to keep your blood sugar stable. Omega-3 fats not only decrease inflammation in our body, and they do not affect our blood sugar levels. You could also do a combination like eggs with the avocado. If you must have some type of cereal, there's one called Pro Granola that I love. It is pretty plain. You add a tablespoon of nuts to it, and you do your maybe almond milk with it, which is unsweetened, or your like Faye yogurt. 9 or 8, I lost track of my numbers, is I want you to add 1 to 2 handfuls of greens to your lunch and supper. My green of choice is spinach. This is super affordable. It's a great way to add vegetables to your diet. And we have to remember that, You know, vegetables do have some fiber. They don't really affect our blood sugar levels except the pesky corn and potatoes. And it's an easier way to get it in. And then your next tip is you're gonna add 2 tablespoons of extra light olive oil to your lunch and supper salad. Fat is great. It does not affect blood sugar levels. This is another reason that a lower carb, higher fat diet is great for pre-diabetics. We just have to think of creative ways to add it in ways that are not so disgusting, like drinking ranch dressing like fraternity boys do. We want to stick with omega-3s, and I'll always do extra light olive oil because it's very light tasting. It's not gonna have a very strong kind of feel to it. Now, diets high in omega-3 fatty acids can reduce the risk of heart disease. I think a lot of us, you know, kind of know this, but it's just a nice add-in to the fact that, hey, fat doesn't really add any problems to my blood sugar levels. Our next tip, which I think is 10 or 11, is never ever buy fat-free products again. I want you all to remember that when something is taken out of a product, they add sugar in. So for example, back in the 90s when we taught light Catalina salad dressing, the salad dressings of choice, they pulled out fat and added sugar. 12 grams of carbs, y'all. 12 grams of carbs. That's close to 3 teaspoons of sugar. Don't buy fat-free. Don't do it. Please don't. Number 11, or 12, 15, 200, I lost track of my numbers, is to take cinnamon. Now, cinnamon can help our body cells better respond to insulin. Now, we want to be really, really direct when how we take it. The recommended dose of cinnamon extract is 250 milligrams twice a day before meals. Now, for a supplement, 500 milligrams works the best. We can do it twice a day. I have linked below my favorites. Please do not take more. You only take the recommended amount. You can get some tummy troubles if you do take more. And on that same note, our next tip is magnesium. And magnesium is the same way. Now, low blood levels of magnesium have been observed in about 30% of folks with type 2 diabetes. That's really important. They did a systematic review of 8 to 12 studies. So that means they just reviewed the studies, and it indicated that giving magnesium supplements for 6 to 24 weeks to healthy people or those with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes help reduce fasting blood sugar levels than compared to a placebo. Now again, the same thing with cinnamon as magnesium. This is something we don't want to overtake. I love vitamins, I love supplements, but really it's not the whole like, ooh, the more the better. No, it's we want to take that exact amount. Magnesium is involved in normal insulin secretion and insulin action in our body's tissues. So it is a great thing, but doses are in the 250 to 350 milligrams a day. You do want to take your magnesium with a meal so that it improves absorption. I'm gonna list below my favorites, and gang, you have to be very careful because if you take the wrong magnesium, and which is magnesium oxide, it can increase your risk of diarrhea, which we don't want. Trust me. So gang, again, we want to take that right amount. I personally take 400 milligrams a day because I do have migraines. I don't recommend more than that in a day. So, you know, hey, taking magnesium for migraines and for blood sugar levels, that's pretty awesome. Our next tip, while not a food tip, is something very important, and that is to walk. Brisk walking. You remember the whole back in the day, the Easy Spirit ladies? You know, they kind of like touch you to squeeze the butt and walk. Oh, I'm sure I look really pretty just doing that now. There was a study that said 7.5 miles a week of walking can help improve your blood sugar levels. And again, I'm kind of on the same note with supplements. If that's what I gotta do, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do 20 miles in a week, you know? Yeah, just get up and walk, especially walking after a meal. You know, start off at 10 minutes, add a minute. This is what we talk about in our clinic. And it really makes a huge, huge, huge difference in the body. I don't want you to feel like that you have to go to the gym and spend money and do all that stuff. And if you wanna do that, that's great. But walking is just as awesome. Now, if you want a guide on how this is all put together, you can scroll in the description box. I have a 7-day low-carb keto-friendly menu that you can download to your inbox. And the plus is you can get all those products at your local Walmart and your drug emporium, so no need to go to those fancy stores. And gang, subscribe for more, and I wish you all well. Mwah!